Welcome to the Market Outlook video presented by MarketScholars.com. I'm your host, Brandon Van Zee. It's November 30th, 2023. First of all, if you're new, welcome aboard. Remember to go over to YouTube, click subscribe on our channel, then go down below into the description area. Make sure you're signed up for our email distribution list so that way you can be notified whenever we post these videos. You'll also see which stocks are giving you overbought and oversold cluster signals within the S&P 500 at the bottom of those emails. In addition to that, we're heavy users of X, formerly known as Twitter. If you're not doing so already, I would encourage you to follow me at Brandon Van Zee, and we really appreciate those of you that click like and repost on this Market Outlook related content. And then last but not least, we do have a presence on Facebook. Feel free to join our group at that web address you see in the logo in front of you. All right, let's go ahead and jump into today's trade activity. As you can see, I've got our S&P 500 heat map pulled up in front of us. It was quite an interesting day. It was one of the days where we had an overwhelming amount of green on the board, but it didn't necessarily come from the heaviest weighted stocks out there, in particular the Magnificent Seven. So let's talk it through, see what we can learn. NVIDIA had a tough day, down 2.85%. Alphabet had a tough day, down 1.82%. Tesla had a tough day despite the launch of the Cybertruck, down 1.66%, and I did notice it was down a little bit more after hours as well. And then even Amazon was down 0.16%, along with Meta down 1.52%. So you can see that 5 out of our Magnificent 7 companies actually closed in the red here today. 2 of them, Microsoft and Apple, closed higher, but just barely. Microsoft was up 0.02%, and then Apple was up 0.31% to lead the Magnificent Seven, but that's not much of a leader there. It was a pretty muted day for it. Yet you look at the rest of the market, and we had green all over the place. I mean, it's hard to pick out one or two. CRM should be mentioned just simply because it is an important player these days as one of the somewhat random companies in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Remember, there's only 30 companies in there. Strangely, Salesforce is one of them. And so the Dow had a great day today on the back of Salesforce rising 9%. And remember, the Dow is a price-weighted index, so with Salesforce being a $251 company, it actually has a pretty big impact on the Dow. Anyway, Salesforce wasn't alone. Palo Alto had a nice day, up 2%. Off to the right-hand side, where we get kind of out of the tech space, we saw quite a bit of positivity in the health arena, including United Healthcare up 3%. Of course, yesterday we heard about the potential merger between Cigna and Humana, kind of shaking up the industry a bit there. It was interesting to see that AbbVie was up 2.81% today. Initially, that stock was underwater a little bit on the news that they are buying Immunogenix, which is, I think, a $10 billion deal, if I read that correctly. So despite offering a big premium, which that other company was on the top of the 9 at 9 this morning, ticker symbol IMGN. It's not here in front of us because it's not in the S&P 500, but that stock was up 80% this morning. So a big premium was offered by AbbVie to buy out that cancer maker for ovarian cancer drugs, at least. And usually when you offer a big premium like that, your stock goes down. But today, AbbVie actually had a pretty nice little rally there, up nearly 3%. You can see Johnson & Johnson had a nice day, up 1.68%. Another one of the fellow dividend kings alongside of J&J, Procter & Gamble, was up 1.58%. In fact, some of you that are premium members at Market Scholars will have received my Telegram trade alert on Procter & Gamble earlier today. It was a stock we were actually swing trading in my factor-based swing trading class, and it hit our max gain today. So always nice to send out those Telegram alerts as opposed to the opposite when we're taking losses. But had a nice win there on Procter & Gamble today. Some of you saw me tweeting about Phillips 66 today. I mentioned it's been a long time since I can say this, but let's try it on for size. Phillips 66, all-time highs. It had been many years since Phillips 66 was at an all-time high. Even last year, when a lot of those oil stocks were roaring after Russia-Ukraine situation, Phillips 66 was not one of them hitting new highs like Exxon and Chevron were. So today, Phillips 66 rocketing 5.5% higher. Anybody who's ever bought a share of that oil refining company is making money if they're holding on until today. That stock has been spurred along nicely here recently with some activist investors rattling the cages. You can also see that Boeing had a nice day, up 3%. GE was up 2.5%. The railroads were chugging along nicely, up in the case of Union Pacific, up nearly 2% there. Schwab had a good day. Schwab was up nicely yesterday as well. So all of a sudden, some of these banks are being jolted back to life a little bit there as well. So again, kind of hard to pick and choose because this is a quite green map that we have in front of us today. In terms of those that were on the losing side of the equation, some more of the tech stocks, I would say the semiconductors were a little bit heavy here today. You did see that Warner Brothers had a tough day, down 3%. By the way, Disney was up today. They were in the news a little bit of back and forth sparring between Bob Iger and Elon Musk here over the last 24 hours. But importantly, after hours, some of you noticed my tweet that Disney did reinstate the dividend. Remember, they used to pay a dividend before COVID, and their last payment was in the first half of 2020, so it's been a long time. But they finally did reinstate that semi-annual dividend. It's not going to be a big yielder by any means, but they are back to the routine of sharing their profits with shareholders, so we'll see if that helps them along moving forward or not. Other stocks that were down today, Dominion had a tough day in the utility space, down 3%, but you can see that was a little bit of an outlier. Most utilities were doing nicely today. Occidental was down a bit here today. Of course, we talked about the sad news of Charlie Munger's passing 2 nights ago. And of course, Occidental is well known as being one of Warren Buffett's favorite oil companies, so not necessarily doing him any favors here today. Ford struggled today. It was down about 3% there as well. So it kind of gives you a feel for things, but generally speaking, a pretty positive day from a market breadth perspective. Now, in terms of the last time I did the video, I only got 86 likes out of you there on Twitter. So we're going to make tonight's a nice short 15-minute variety. But for those of you who are premium members of Market Scholars, be aware that I did have a 3.5-hour class earlier today. So plenty of content for those of you who are premium members. That recording is now posted to our class calendar, so feel free to sink your teeth into 3.5 hours of my day if you so desire. Also, wanted to make a note real quick here that this afternoon I did post the dividend stair-step sector statistics, and that gets updated once per month. And remember, this is free. The class that I mentioned a moment ago is not. That is only for our premium members. But this, anybody can access on our website. If you want to hover over the blog area and then click on dividend growth investing, you should see it up at the top. I'll probably put a hyperlink to it in the email tonight if I remember as well. Otherwise, you can also find it over on Twitter. Let's go ahead and take a look at our specific breadth numbers now. And if we look at the Market Watch tab, you can see that 405 out of the 500 companies were up today. So again, that's how strange it was for those magnificent 7 companies to be struggling, because we actually had 81% of the market higher today. That is a huge bullish breadth day that we had there. So great to see that out of some of those smaller areas finally participating a bit more. Over here to the markets now, as we look at our 4 grid, you'll see the S&P 500 was up 0.38% today. So a pretty solid day. Obviously, it would have been up even more had those Magnificent 7 companies participated. But this was really a day that was carried by the soldiers, not the generals. But a good day nonetheless. You can see we basically closed at the high of the session. Naturally, that means we retain our strongly bullish posture. And of course, markets are still above their rising 30-day moving averages there as well. Take a look at the Dow today. Now, this is, as I mentioned before, a result of the impact of Salesforce.com within the Dow, one of the 30 companies there and one of the higher price points, and therefore has a bigger influence on the Dow. But look at that candle on the Dow. Woof! That is a beautiful looking candle, closing basically right near the high of the day. Not only that, but take a look at this bright green label that shows up on the Dow chart that says yearly high today. So the Dow, believe it or not, was the one that got us there first, or at least here first today. We'll see if any of the others follow suit here soon enough. But the Dow was today's superstar, up basically 1.5%. The NASDAQ was actually down today. How about that? The NASDAQ was down 0.23%. Again, that's probably your exposure to those Magnificent Seven players that is doing the damage there. They don't have as much association with the utilities and the REITs and those other areas within the S&P 500 that could offset the Magnificent Seven nearly as much. This is much more concentrated within kind of those technology areas. And remember, the semiconductors didn't really help out there in that regard either. And then the Russell 2000 had a modest up day. It was up 0.29%. You'll notice that all four of our charts remain with strongly bullish postures. All four of our charts remain above their rising 30-day moving averages. Now, I will point out that once again, we do have a bullish intermediate confirmation signal on the Russell 2000. Remember, that exists when the green line is considered bullish, which it is at 86 in the upper reversal zone right now, on the same day when the red line, the momentum line, is below 20. And today it ended at 18.77. We also have the blue line between 20 and 50, the way that we like it as well. So not sure if that's going to be a great signal or not, since today wasn't much of a pullback. In fact, not a pullback at all. It was actually up a little bit. So usually people who want to take advantage of that type of signal are looking for a bit more of a sell-off. But today you did get technically a bullish intermediate confirmation signal out of the Russell 2000. Let's take a quick peek here at our asset class 12 grid. Heads up that we actually did get a quick little pop out of the US dollar and the 10-year Treasury yield. Remember, on Tuesday when I was last with you, I was talking about how both of those had oversold cluster signals, so it wouldn't be surprising to get some sort of a reversion to the mean type of a move. Perhaps today's move is part of that. The good news is it didn't really seem to slow down the market's prospects. Even the interest rate sensitive groups like the REITs and the utilities still went up today despite a rally in yield. So that was a nice sign in that regard. One area that did stand out to my eye was oil. They really took it to the oil area today, down 3%, and that was after attempting to get above that moving average. It rejected it, and it rejected in a big way, creating this bearish engulfing candle right here. Gold was down a little bit today, but remains in a very strong uptrend, so we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt for right now. Gold remains with a strongly bullish posture. All the other three charts on the bottom rung remain with a strongly bearish posture. You can see that preferred stocks had a pretty nice day, and this is not their first day. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trading sessions in a row with preferred stocks not only having nice performance, but really closing near the highs of their day in all 5 of those candles. So preferred stocks making a move. Remember, preferred stocks oftentimes share some characteristics with bonds, and now that bonds are rallying a bit, it's kind of given some life to the preferred stocks there as well. The foreign stocks were about mixed here today. Developed foreign stocks were down 0.08%, whereas the emerging markets were up 0.2%. I talked about Pinduoduo with you guys on Tuesday. It was up again today, another 4%. Take a look at that move this week out of Pinduoduo, the Chinese company that competes against Alibaba. Some of you saw my post on Twitter late last night that the market cap baton has been passed. Pinduoduo is actually bigger than Alibaba at this moment, which is quite incredible to see that transition take place over the years. Bitcoin was down a little bit here today, but not much. Bitcoin has done a good job maintaining its bullish trends. And then the bond categories were all kind of a little bit lower today based upon slightly rising yields today, but the intermediate trends for the bonds remains strongly bullish. All right, that'll wrap us up for the day. Again, short and sweet for all of you non-voters out there, and that's all right by me as well. I don't mind doing these shorter ones. So if you like the shorter ones, don't click like on Twitter. If you want me to get back to the hour-long presentations, then click like for me. As long as we're up and over 100, I'd be happy to do that for you the next time I'm scheduled to do it, which will be on Tuesday. So until then, I hope you all have a great weekend. David should be with you again tomorrow or over the weekend at some point, and then I'll be back in action with my premium members Monday morning with top-down trend trading. Until next time, I want to wish you all the best of success with your trades and your investments. Goodbye for now.